You talk about sticking to principle and defending principles. Obviously, that is your calling card. But if you were to achieve the next level, the presidency of the United States, you have to get beyond that and you have to really learn how to compromise. Give me an example where you have successfully compromised in the United States Senate with Democrats.
Well, if you look at some of the legislation that has passed, that I've been able to pass when I was there. For example, if you look to about a year ago, when Iran named Hamid Abudulabi as their ambassador to the UN, he was a known terrorist. He had participated in holding Americans hostage. And that was intended to be and was, in fact, a slap in the face to the United States. I introduced legislation barring Abudulabi from being admitted to this country. And it earned the support from senators as varied as Lindsey Graham and Chuck Schumer. It passed the Senate 100-0. Went to the House. It passed the House 435-0, and President Obama signed it into law. And so we were able to get unanimity, bipartisan agreement, and to change the law to keep Abudulabi and keep other known terrorists from coming to this country, from being in New York City with diplomatic immunity.
But you yourself made the point. I mean, 100-0, it's got to be something incredibly non-controversial.
But that doesn't mean unimportant. I'll give you another example of leading and finding issues that can bring
Because I believe that might be the only legislation that you have your name on as a co-sponsor that was successful in the last
Well, I'll give you another example, which is, you'll recall last year when 3 Israeli teenagers were kidnapped and murdered by Hamas. And I joined with New Jersey Senator Democrat Bob Menendez in introducing legislation to provide for a $5 million reward in the State Department for information leading to the capture of the terrorist who had kidnapped and murdered Naftali Frankel, who was a dual American-Israeli citizen. Now, Bob Menendez and I did that together. That likewise passed the Senate 100-0. It would have passed the House, but thankfully they caught the terrorist before the House passed it. And in fact, I'll point to another example, which is I joined with New York Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand in passing a resolution through the Senate condemning Hamas's use of human shields. Again, we got it unanimously passed.
But it's fair that there's just one piece of legislation that is now law with your name on it.
Well, that's accurate, but look, in the Harry Reid Senate, we passed next to nothing. Harry Reid and the Democrats basically shut down the Senate, and I can tell you the 2 things that I had passed the Senate, the 2 pieces of legislation that passed the Senate, are more than all but a handful of Republicans in the last 2 years, and that was despite Senate Democrats basically shutting the Senate down so that almost nothing could pass.